You've probably heard AI and blockchain thrown around a ton, right? Well, there's this project called NEURON that's mashing them together. The big question is it all just hype? That's what we're going to dig into today. We'll cut through the noise, see what NEURON's really building, what problem they think they can solve, and, if their token is actually useful. All right, let's dive in.
So AI is absolutely exploding, right? But who's actually in charge? See, to cook up really powerful AI, you need a few key ingredients. Just, mountains of data, a ridiculous amount of computing power, and some way to make all the pieces talk to each other. And here's the catch. A tiny, tiny handful of tech giants basically control all of it. They've got the data, they've got the supercomputers, and they make the rules. And that huge concentration of power, that's the exact problem that a whole new wave of crypto projects is trying to crack.
Okay, so let's talk about this centralization problem. This is where crypto really steps onto the stage. The whole idea is to use blockchain to, well, blow these closed systems wide open. So instead of these walled gardens, think more like open, bustling markets. Markets for data, for compute power, even for AI agents themselves. And the best part? No single company is in charge. This decentralized future, that's the bullseye NEURON is aiming for.
All right, so what we're looking at here are two totally different ways of doing things. On one hand, you've got the current model, which is kind of like a fortress, right? The tech giants control everything, the data's locked up tight, and if that one central point of power goes down, well, the whole thing can just collapse. But then you have this decentralized vision. It's much more like a city grid. It's an open market where anyone can plug in, resources are shared across a super resilient network, and no one person, no one company holds all the keys. That is the massive shift NEURON is trying to pull off.
So, let's get into NEURON itself and what it's building. See, this is where NEURON carves out its spot. Their goal isn't to build the next viral AI app you'll see on social media. No, they're aiming for something way more fundamental. They want to be the infrastructure, the plumbing underneath it all, that uses blockchain to get all the different players on the same page, and, this is key, give them a reason to work together.
Okay, so what is NEURON, really? In simple terms, think of it as an infrastructure layer. Its main job is to act like a digital traffic cop for all the different parts of an AI system. And its rulebook? That's the blockchain. The whole point is to let everybody, from the folks providing computer power all the way to the developers building the cool apps, to interact openly, prove what they've contributed, and get paid fairly for it.
This is a great way to think about it. NEURON isn't the shiny new self-driving car that you and I would use. Not at all. It's trying to be the smart roads, the traffic lights, and the charging stations. It's the essential stuff that allows thousands of different self-driving cars, or in this case, AI services, to be built and run smoothly right on top of it.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What technical problems is this actually trying to fix? Well, it's all about answering some really tough questions. Like, how do you get a bunch of different AI services to work together when there's no central boss telling them what to do? Or how do you pay people fairly for their data or their computer power without some middleman taking a huge cut? And how can you create a bulletproof, trustworthy record of who did what and when? These are the exact challenges that NEURON is using blockchain to tackle.
All right, so that brings us to the token. In any crypto project, the token is the lifeblood, the economic engine, and NEURON is no different. So we got to figure out, what's this thing for? And probably the most important question, does the system actually need it to work?
So, the NEURON token basically wears 4 hats. First, it's the currency of the network. You use it to pay for services. Second, it's the reward system, to pay people for contributing. Third, it's for security. People can stake their tokens, which means they lock them up to help keep the network safe. And finally, number 4, it's about governance. Holding the token gives you a vote in how the whole thing evolves over time.
But, and this is the million-dollar question you have to ask with any of these projects, is the token really essential? I mean, is it necessary for the whole system to even work? Or is its main job, for now at least, just something for people to speculate on? The answer to that question is often what separates a project with real legs from one that's just a flash in the pan.
Okay, promise versus progress. This is where we get real. It's super easy to get excited about the big vision, the grand promise of a project. But now we have to ask the tough questions. What's actually been built so far, and is anyone at all, actually using it right now?
On paper, the vision here is pretty incredible. I mean, we're talking about a future with open marketplaces where AI agents can just offer up their services, decentralized Amazon Web Services, basically, for data and computing power, automating really complex jobs with smart contracts. The vision is huge, it's powerful,
But the real question is, how much of this is real today and how much is still just a cool idea on a whiteboard?
So if we want to judge Neuron on something other than its token price, we have to look at the data. We have to be detectives. We're talking about things like, is there activity on their GitHub? Are people actually writing code? How many wallets are really interacting with the protocol? Is any revenue being generated? Are developers actually deploying stuff? These are the real signals. This is the stuff that helps you tell the difference between a real, growing project and just pure hype.
Okay, let's talk about the future. Risks and outlook. Look, no project, especially one this ambitious, is a sure thing. There are always huge risks, and understanding those challenges is absolutely crucial if we're going to get a sense of its real, long-term chances of success.
When you look at a project like Neuron, the hurdles are pretty clear. First off, what if nobody uses it? The risk of failing to get real adoption is huge. The tech itself might just be too complicated for developers to want to bother with. And let's be honest, the big, centralized companies, they're really efficient. What if they just stay dominant? Then there's the token. Even if the network gets used, there's no guarantee the token price will reflect that value. And to top it all off, the AI world is moving at, like, warp speed, which makes everything even more unpredictable.
So when you look into the crystal ball, you can kind of see three possible futures for a project like this. You've got the Grand Slam scenario. Neuron becomes core infrastructure for decentralized AI. Then there's the it's a living scenario. It finds a small, dedicated community and just hums along as a niche project. And then, of course, there's the scenario where it just fails to get off the ground and can't compete with the big guys. It really all boils down to one thing: execution. Can they build it, and will people come?
And really, this quote says it all. At the end of the day, Neuron is a bold bet. It's a bet that blockchain can forge a more open, a more fair way to build AI. But in the crypto space, a good story is just the beginning. It's never enough on its own. What really, truly matters is real-world use and actual, measurable technical progress. That's the bottom line.
So that leaves us with the one big question that frames this whole thing. Neuron's bet is this: can a scattered, decentralized, open network actually out-innovate and out-compete the giant centralized tech companies? It's a David versus Goliath story for the AI age. And whether that bet pays off, well, we're just going to have to watch and see if this incredible vision can actually become a reality.